G'day, I'm Bruce, and today I'm going to try and get this big Detroit powered Kenworth running again. This truck used to be used for shifting trailers around their yard, but hasn't been used for quite a long time, and they were wondering whether I could get it going and so they could move it over to the other side of their yard. There's the build plate, and it looks like it's a 924. Now, it looks like it's fitted with an 871 Turbo Detroit. It's very basic inside, but Shane used to say the ones with the door handles up high were quite old, possibly even in the late 60s. There's a shot looking across the dash. It looks like it's got keys in it, which is good. Looking at the side panel there, it looks like it must be fitted with Jacobs engine brakes. There's the gear sticks. It looks like it's a twin stick setup. One gearbox is an RTO 915, which I think is a fairly common Road Ranger gearbox. At one stage it must have been even a tipper, and it's probably fitted with hydraulics to suit a tipper by the look of that. Some of the tyres are down. When you look at likes of that one, needs more air putting in it. Pretty low. That one's got some in it. Yeah, that one's still pumped up. There's a shot looking at the back of it. Obviously it's set up to tow a semi-trailer. It's got the turntable sitting there. That one's pretty flat. That one's up higher. That one's up pretty high. I think it's just the fact that it's sunk into the ground, I think. Looks like it's got a flapper on the top of the exhaust, which is really good to keep the water out of the system. Rightio, that one's undone. The bull bar was already down when we arrived, so obviously someone somewhere in the past must have had a look at the engine or something, but I don't know how we're going to get on about that. Let's try turning that. I'll try lifting it from the other side. Might be a trick there like that. It seems to be twisting as I'm lifting it. There it is. It looks like a pretty good looking Detroit two-stroke. I would say it's probably 350 horsepower, but I'll get the cameraman to see if he can zoom in on the specifications there. If he can hold it there for a while, and I'll let you people read it, but somewhere there it should say 350 horsepower to guess. It looks like just here, October 1974, so the truck might be a bit newer than what I thought it was. It is 350 horsepower, as I thought. Like most of the things I work on, there's a few cobwebs there blowing in the breeze. Before we get too carried away, I'm just going to check the oil. Yep, it's right on the full mark. There's the full mark. Exactly on the full mark. Certainly no water in it. That's right in, yep. It looks like there's the guts out of the radiator cap. Yeah, I can still see water in there. The water is above the core. There you go, you can see the water there now. Pretty hard to see, but got a bit of scum on top of it. There's the radiator. Yeah, the radiator looks to be in good condition. If we follow the intake system around from the turbo, it goes back here, then it goes into a Y. One air cleaner out here, the other air cleaner over the other side. All a pretty big looking setup. The alternator's driven off the back of the engine there. which is a typical two-stroke GM idea, which is a good idea. There's the air compressor down there, also driven off the back of the engine. Just having a look over here at the governor box. That part feels pretty free. So next up, I think I'll just try and undo this hose, pull this off, clean around the back of the tappet cover, undo the tappet cover. They're pretty tight, but I'll try and clean around the back there as best I can. I don't want to just lift the tappet cover and all the dirt fall down into the engine. So that'll be the next thing. I'll get a screwdriver and some rag and I'll start to clean it up. I'll clean underneath that edge if I can get under there a little bit. Underneath there. It's fairly clean actually. It would have been flashing its day with a chrome tappet cover. We always do this on a Detroit two-stroke to make sure that it doesn't run away. If I can get underneath them, I'll give them a bit of a brush too. There's a bit of rubbish there that might fall down. Some of these motors have been pretty well looked after and they've probably been reconditioned maybe a couple of times in their lifetime. Right, next up will be a bit of compressed air. And the other side. Turn that nozzle around a little bit. Around that pipe. I'll have to pull that pipe off out the way. I'm just going to remove this pipe now. That's probably enough. There we go, it's off out the way. Oh, not too bad. Speak too soon. That one's pretty tight. One more shot with the air. Once you loosen them like that, you've disturbed them a little bit. Turn the nozzle around the other way. There we go. Yep. Rightio. Looks like it's going to come off nice and easy. There we are. Look at that. Yeah, I'm surprised at it being that clean. Would have had to have been done up at some stage to look that good. Just goes to show, always changing the oil, and that's what you can expect. Especially using a good quality oil too. I don't know what sort of oil they've used, but it would be interesting to know. Look at that there, everything looks pretty good. Not much sludge there, is there? No. Now I'll just go and get my punch set and go along and I'll just check. Actually they're looking pretty good. I'll just get the punch and just check them. Righto, I'm just going to tap down on top of the springs, on top of the injection pump idea I suppose you will say, to simplify it a bit. That's the retainer. That's the valve spring, well that's the pump spring underneath. So I'm just going to tap down on that and you'll hear the sound. Hear that bouncing? This one I think is compressed a bit, so it'll sound a little bit different, but this one's already under compression, so it's probably on a firing stroke probably. Really good at springing. That one's springing, that's very good. Now the next thing, I don't know whether the cameraman can get down in on this angle and see that rod. Can you see that, the end of that? Can you see that rod? See that rod moving? If that rod's moving, everything's fine. Same here, moving, moving, and moving. So everything there is free. Right for that to go down. It's got to go down on a bit of an angle at the front there. First, there we go. It looks to be sitting pretty right. When they get close to hitting bottom, I always like to just shuffle them around a little bit, if I can, loosen that one off a little bit. Feels pretty good, feels like it's down tight. That screwdriver, where am I? That's about it. It's even fairly clean for a two-stroke too. A lot of times this can be all, you know, as if it's been oozing oil for years, oil, dirt, build up. Looks pretty good really. There's a few hornet's nests and things laying in there, but that's probably just from sitting, here probably. Righto, so we're working our way around. It's got like this solenoid thing rigged up on the flapper valve here. Obviously if it would power onto that wire, it's probably got a push button switch or something up there. This may even be the way they're stopping this machine, this engine. And it looks like once that pulls up, it looks like the flapper valve falls down and seals it off. So I'll reset it. Right, that's got it sort of cocked, I suppose you'd say. So if all else fails, we'll just come down, move that up, and I'm pretty sure it'll shut down. It looks like this engine could be stopped in either place. Stopped there electronically, or stopped via a cable up on top of the governor box. We're just checking all this here. All that looks to be nice and free. This would have to be the diesel tank. That looks like the hydraulic tank for when it would have had a tipper on it. There we are. We've got about 300 mil, or about 12 inches of diesel there, I'd say. While we're here, I'll put a bit of I'll just lay that down over there. While we're here, I'll put some fuel doctor in, and if it has algae or anything in the fuel tank, this should kill it. I'll bring that up to the maximum height on that little bottle. We're going for a second one. The other thing I'll do too while I'm at it, this is looking a little bit rusty up here, so I'll just dribble a bit of diesel around on that and on that thread. And also, I'll also put a bit of diesel around on that seal, and that should help shed any water. Because who knows, it might sit here for another length of time. So I'll put that on there. When it rains, then it's a little bit oily around there. That'll help repel the water. Got a nice little umbrella over the edge there. Beautifully made. Right, we're going to check the other fuel tank now. Little chain. There we are. I would say both these fuel tanks are probably hooked together. I'll do the same thing again. I'll just drill a bit of diesel on there and a bit of diesel around there. I'll just put this back over here for the time being. Bit more. Right. Fuel cap back on. Feels good and solid. I'll grab that hose so I don't forget it. Shift a bit of the stuff out the way. I'd say these old batteries are pretty buggered. They're bulging on the ends there. I've already started cleaning things up here. So I'll just set all this back on where it came off of, if I can get it. I had to pull this off to clean that up properly. And that's the setup I used to run through to clean it up. And I couldn't do it with those cables bolted down. Put the nut here to put back on. I would say that one would have been going over to there, so that's the way it was set up. So I've just got it sitting on this old battery, just so I've got something to hang on to it a bit easier. It's quite hard to get it undone. Right, that's pretty good. I've already had that bolt out of that terminal. I don't know where that one's seized up. I'll just go and grab a 1/2 inch spanner because that other one was seized up. Battery bolts were seized up, so I thought I'll just pull them out, give them a bit of a clean. That way when the next fellow comes along, all this sort of stuff might still work again if he's lucky. A bit of spray. That's the way. Where am I up to? I've got this one here to go. Like usual, I think some of them are 13 and some of them are 1/2 inch. It's very close. I'll just see how tight that is. I'm going to get it. That's good. Easier than what the other ones were. I might just put a bit more spray on that one. Rightio, we've got our... That one's done, that one's done, that one's done. I'll leave them a little bit looser so it's a bit easier to shove them on. That'll come off of there. I'm just going to put these old batteries over here. Pretty stiff. Look at the size of the solenoid. There. Looks like we've got another positive go over the back there. This one's going to be awkward. Yep, it's the right spanner, right? Just hard to get at. Rather positive over here. Just got to hold that in there. They're both negatives. It looks like it's a 12 volt system. Positive to positive, negative to negative. It's 12 volts, a 12 volt starter, 12 volt system. Another 13. That one, yep. We'll leave these spanners here in case we have to undo any of that. Well, I've checked the oil, I've checked the water, I've checked the diesel, I've checked the rack on the far side. I'm confident that this side here is free too, the way it feels over there. Looks nice and clean underneath the tablet cover. I've checked the way we should be able to stop it. We can either stop it over there on that cable going on top of the governor box, or we can just come out here and trip that. It may even have a button or a switch on the dash to drop the flap. The flap up there is free too, so if all else fails we can come in there and click that off and it should shut it down up there. Righto, on inspecting the dash, they have got a button up here, emergency stop. That'll be that big solenoid sitting on top of the flapper valve. So I'd say someone in the past has had a runaway and they said, right, we'll fix this mother. We'll put that whopping big solenoid in there on that flap, so if anything goes wrong they can just push that button and that'll probably just shut the flap. There it is. If I push the button it'll probably drop the flap and it'll probably stop it from going, so I won't push that button, but it's there if I need to. And you can see we've got amps here, fuel there. I don't know whether that works on both fuel tanks. Here's our ignition, here's our starter. We work our way across rev counter. If we go by that, what is that now? 5,783, or is that 57,837 and a zero on the end? I really don't know. I'm really not going to say, but obviously there will be people in there that know a lot more about these than what I do. So leave a comment. Is that 57,837.0 hours, or is that 5,783.70? Over here we've got our mileage, goes around to 80 mile an hour. I wonder would the old thing have done that? It may have done downhill. So what have we got here? We've got 474,061 miles. Then up here we've got our air pressure. We'll have oil pressure for the engine here. We'll have temperature there. What have we got here? We've got a low oil water temp. Oh, that's a light. That must be a light. I thought it was a button, but it's a light. We've got our braking system there. This would have been when it would have had the hydraulics on the back of it. We've got something or other else down here. That switch has had it, but it would have been high and then off and then low, but there's nothing hooked up to that. Pull to release spring control for parking. It would be their park brake. They've got another brake set up over here. What have we got over here? Deep reduction shift, only in low range. Inner axle differential lock and unlock. We've got a dry road and a slippery road over here. I suspect this is probably that cable. I suspect that probably goes down onto that. Maybe do I turn that, pull that out? No. It didn't feel like it was seized down the other end, but obviously there's the stopper there anyway. I might just get the cameraman to go down and have a look at the governor box and see if that's the same cable. I am going to push the emergency stop just to check where that flap's going to drop, because if this is the stopper cable over here, right over on the far side, it feels like it's seized. So I'll just get the cameraman to go out and have a look at that when I push this emergency stop button. Well, I think it dropped down. I could hear something going on. Here goes. I'm going to see if this old critter will jump back into life again. Key on. Starter button in. No. Might take a while to suck the fuel up. We're just going to give it a sniff of aero start so we don't flatten the batteries or burn the starter motor out. So here goes. We can't quite give it enough spray to keep it running, so let's put that there. Rightio. Now I'm just going to get the cameraman to spray up underneath there. If we can keep it running a bit longer, it should be able to pump fuel up to the injectors and keep running. If it doesn't run then, I'm suspicious it might have blocked fuel filters. Keep spraying. It won't hurt, keep spraying. Well, the day's pretty well done now, but I reckon it's got a block filter here. We'll see if we can get back out here, put some new filters on, and then see if it will run. Well, we're back here with another filter. It was fairly hard to get because I suppose there's not too many two-stroke Detroit trucks on the road these days. It's sort of a thing of the past now. Everybody's moved over to four-strokes. So some of these filters had to be cross-referenced from the filter that was on it too. So we've just got to hope that they've got everything worked out right, or we still mightn't have a filter that fits. That should be about the right size. Certainly been on there for a while, I'd say. Here we go. Well, I'll just pull out the thing from underneath. If you always reckon if you give them a bump on the side, that helps shake a bit of the rubbish off. Well, I thought it might have been worse than that. We can see the rubbish laying in the bottom there. Righto, we're going to tip that into this drum here. Rubbish there. Well, this is how we compare them. They're the same that way, and the threads look about the same, but we won't really know until we try and screw them on, but I'm pretty sure it'll fit. Well, I've got the old fire extinguisher pumped up to about 110 psi, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and force air up into where the filter screws on, which is going to go back on that line. We've got two fuel tanks here now, so I've got this one turned off. No, I've got the other way around. This one turned on, this one turned off. So when I force air up into there, I don't know whether it's got a filter or whether the pipe could be blocked, the end of the pipe. So I'm going to try and blow back through the pipe to see if I can then get fuel to go the other way. It's a loose fit, but that idea didn't work too good, so I think I'm going to undo this hose here so I can get a better connection. I'll just go and undo that line. Once you've disturbed these things, it's best to tighten them back up again, because obviously you've loosened the dirt up around them. So if you do that, less chance of getting dirt into the system. Feels a bit dry and rusty, but it's not too bad. I've got them both tied together there too. What have we got? We need some more compressed air. I'm just going to blow back through the fuel line with this setup. I'll get the cameraman to have a listen right at the tank. I think I can hear the bubbles coming up. Bubbles, or do you reckon no bubbles? Well, I think that front tank may have been blocked. Just the way I fed air into it, and then you could feel it go sort of clunk the other end. I think we'll work off the front tank, but I think I will also pull the bung out of the front tank just for a bit and just see what comes out, see if it has got water or dirt in the tank, just to be sure. Made sure that bung wasn't going to fall out. Looks like diesel, I can't see water. Have a look at what we've got. Looks pretty good. There's a little bit of rubbish in there, but some of that might have even been in there from before, but yeah. Certainly isn't loaded with water anyway. That's the main thing. It's back to about where it was. I'm just going to dip the tank again to make sure there is enough diesel in it, but I'm sure there was the other day, so we'll work on that about there. Should have stacks of diesel at that. It's heaps. Shifting spanner in Australia, crescent in America, if I've got that right. Right. Right, I'm just going to clean the sealing area underneath the filter housing, just to be sure that is clean. It has got some dirt laying around on the other side there, I can tell. When I get down there, I'll get the cameraman to have a good look up under there as well. I know that should be nice and clean now. Should get a good seal without any dirt. I'm just going to clean this jug out, and I'm going to filter up with diesel. But the other thing I will do, I'll put a little bit of oil on the sealing surface. I'm just going to put a bit of oil on that surface, on that seal. There we are, there's our oil. Put that oil on that seal. And now we know that job's done. I know I should have undone the other bung the other side to make it quicker, but righto, we get our filter. We've got our container underneath here now, so if we spill any, we're not going to contaminate the earth. Maybe it holds more than what I thought. Close. Quite a windy day here too. That's about as tight as I'm going to get it. Well, we know we've got a clean filter now. We know we've got a clean line, suction line back to the tank. And what we might do, we might even force a bit of compressed air into the tank and see if we can try and force a bit of fuel up to its lift pump. See if that can help prime it up, see if we can get it running. I'll just check these batteries again to make sure they are tight. I should even check that while I'm here too, but it's probably tight. Yep, that's right. We've got our quarter Whitworth here. We've got a 12 over in here. No, it's a 13. Just double check that again. It's tight. It's tight. Right. Righto, we've got the air hose rigged up with the gun and the rag so we can pressurise the fuel tank to try and force the fuel up to the engine lift pump. And we've got our air supply coming from that fire extinguisher with about 125 psi in it. I'm going to get in and see if I can give it a start, and the cameraman is going to force some compressed air into the fuel tank, see if he can push some fuel up to the lift pump. Rightio, here we go. Key on, start button, see what happens. Do we give it a bit of spray then, just to try and kick it? Or do you want to give it another go? Righto, away we go. Key off. Righto, we don't want to go flattening the battery straight away, so we thought we might undo a section of pipe here and see if we can spray some Aerostart straight in. No, we've got no chance there. I'll be spraying up inside. Yep. Yep. No, we're going to try and undo this pipe here at the turbo so we can spray straight into the turbo. If I can get these clamps undone. They're pretty tight. Sometimes you've got to work these backwards and forwards or the screw will come out. Right, that one's right. That one's nice and free. Bit of hammer and I'll tap that. Whew. Better get that back. It's got one end undone. trying to drive that band back a little bit, or shake the dirt out of it anyway. Everything's pretty dry from sitting. I just need a bit more play. If I can get this rubber hose loose, that might just give me enough to be able to pull the pipe off the turbo. There we are. There's the compressor housing of the turbo. Just give that a bit of a wipe around in there. Yep, that feels really good. Rightio, I'm just going to spray some Aero Start into the intake of the engine now, into the intake of the turbo. It's blowing it back. Righto, do it again. Blowing the spray back like that, I thought straight away the flap on the intake above the blower must be down, meaning it can't get into the engine. Yeah, the flap was down alright. No wonder we weren't doing any good. Rightio. Rightio. Righto, try it now. I'm going to put some more fuel in the front tank now, and I think we'll just turn the back tank off and we'll just work with the front tank. So here we go, we're going to put in 20 litres of fuel. Righto, that's away. I'm going to rip the tappet cover back off just to check the valves when cranking. I'm just going to check whether these valves here are opening and shutting while we're cranking. Rightio. We've just undone one of the injector lines, so we're going to crank it over now and see if we can see fuel coming out of that injector line that's undone. You can see there's just no fuel at the injector, so we might try and hook up our own fuel tank and force diesel into its pump to prime it up. It looks like it would be hard to tap in to the pump, so we will follow the lines around and we might go back to the filter housing. I'll blow it off before I hook into this fitting here. Well, we've got the outboard tank here, and we're going to see if we can force some fuel up to the fuel pump, because we don't think the fuel pump on it's in very good condition for some reason. It doesn't seem to want to suck the fuel up. So if we force the fuel up to it, and we haven't got enough compressed air here to really pressurise the tank, so this is the next best thing. We'll force the fuel straight up to the fuel pump and see what happens. Right. Well, the fuel's going somewhere. Is it coming out of that? Rightio. Now we're going to have to do that back up. Rightio, we're right to go. Yeah, did you push the button? Well, that just goes to show, after they've been sitting for a while, something there must be stuck. It certainly started to rev up, and the cameraman pushed the emergency button, which slammed the flap shut, which shut it down. So this time I'm going to try and have this towel on here and see if I can manually cut the injectors back on here. I'll have another try. So the cameraman's going to reset the flap in the run position, and we'll try it again. So that's a lesson to everybody about you must always make sure you can shut these things down before you start them up. It does run, but it has this problem where it wants to rev up all the time, and we're not quite sure what's going on there, and the only way I can bring it back to an idle is grab the rack and bring the thing back manually. So we're going to have a good look at all the linkages right back underneath the floor of the cab and try and find out whether there's some other problem there that we just cannot see at the present. If you want to see another video of me trying to get it running right and maybe driving, leave a comment below. There's a lot of people that watch my channel that aren't subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, I'd be extremely grateful if you would hit the notification bell so you could be updated on any new videos. That'll be about it for this video. Until next time, thanks very much for watching.